So how do I get around these seed oils? Because now I can tell you, as somebody who travels a lot, I go to restaurants when I travel, and they all have the hateful eight in them, even the high end restaurants. So my husband and I have kind of come to the conclusion that when we're home, we're going to make our own food, or when we travel, we go to Airbnbs and we try to make our own food. But it's, even for somebody who's educated on the topic, it's really hard to get around them. Do you have any strategies for people on, like, when you're at restaurants or, out and about? How do we get around the how prolific these oils are?
Yeah, so the last third of the book is devoted to practical strategies that will help
Amazing.
you accomplish exactly that. And so, just as an example, one of them is when you go to a restaurant, if it's a sit down restaurant, all you need to do is say, do you have anything that you can cook for me right now in real butter, not butter
Mm,
oil? Rather than trying to go through the exercise of asking what oil they use, because we already know the answer. If they're not telling you that it's seed oil free restaurant, then they're not paying attention to
right.
the oils for the most part, unless it's like, a super fancy restaurant, then they might be using olive oil. If they say in, like, as a traditional French or Mediterranean or something, from Spain, and they're all talking in Spanish or French or something, and they say they get their oils from that country, but that's rare. So for the most part, you have to take control of the conversation, and that's how you do it. And I give you
Mhm.
all kinds of strategies and
Excellent.
tips on how to do that. And also, another really common question that I get is, gosh, when I start looking, I find these oils are in everything. And,
Yes.
how much is too much? And so I tell you how to tell how much is
Mm,
too much too, right? Because there is such a thing as an insignificant amount of a
mhm.
toxin, right? I mean, I'm not like saying you can't even have 1 part per billion of this stuff. If that's basically what it amounts to, it's not significant.
Right.
Let's not worry about that. Let's do what matters and focus on what matters.
Yeah.
And yeah, and that's what I've been about my whole career, is like,
Yeah.
let's not focus on the fact that some people have celiac and can't eat gluten. That doesn't mean everybody needs to avoid gluten, and, let's not focus on the fact that some people have problems with peanuts. That doesn't mean everybody needs to avoid peanuts. Let's not get lost in these contaminants that are, although not great, they're somewhat overwhelming when you try to think about all of them. There's a lot of toxins, right? Our food supply is not great. Let's just get that out of the way. But there's what we need to do to stay sane in this world is learn the worst of the worst. It's called
Yes.
hierarchy, right?
Ooh.
We put the worst of the worst. We know that this is number one. This is our priority. Let's
Mm,
make avoiding vegetable oils the priority. And
yeah.
then the next thing I say is, don't eat excessive amounts of unnutritious, non-nutritive carbohydrates. And
Yeah.
sometimes that includes things like rice. I mean, white
Yeah.
rice does not have very much nutrition. And even though
Yeah.
it's, people think of it as a whole food, it's not really a whole food. We've removed the bran,
Yeah.
white rice. So, but so, yeah, so that's the
I
hierarchy,
like the
and
way you think that. I really
it's
think that's
necessary.
important because, again, this topic is so confusing for people. And I think we have to start with the understanding that the food system is getting worse and worse, and people are really struggling. I've been really intrigued by a concept that I hear a lot of people talking about right now called food deserts, and
Oh, yeah.
how in parts of the United States people don't have access to high quality foods, and so they're going into their 7-Elevens and they're eating meals out of there that are packed with these seed oils, and then we're creating all these cardiovascular and metabolic problems, and then our immune system's going down, and then now big pharma comes to rescue us all from that. So I love how you've put this at the top, and I really, really agree. I think educating yourself is really important. Here's a couple of sticky spots for me. One is, I'll use myself as an example. I love sweet potato fries. They are my favorite. If I go to a high end restaurant and I'm going to have a grass fed burger and I'm going to have sweet potato fries and I know they're cooked in the wrong oils, am I doomed now? Like, how long? I've heard some things say that those seed oils stay in you for years. Like, if I have one batch of sweet potato fries, what's the metabolic consequence of that for me down the road?
The dose makes the poison. So if you're doing that every single day, you're going to be getting more toxins. So it's not just that the fats, it's really less of a problem that the fats stay in your body fat for years than the consequence of the toxins that we consume that deplete our antioxidants. And so this is the new information that's in dark calories that will really help folks like you, Mindy, and other people who are really into health understand what these oils are doing to our bodies. And it has to do with the concept of oxidation and oxidative stress. And those are new terms, but they are the key to unlocking your understanding to all of it. And I explain what they are. By the time people are done with it, they're like able to put it together in basically one sentence. And that really, really is essential so that you understand cholesterol doesn't cause heart disease, that you understand that you can get control of your inflammatory diseases, whatever it may be, whether, celiac is an inflammatory disease, right? It's an autoimmune disorder driven by inflammation. And psoriasis, skin conditions are driven by inflammation. You can get rid of, if your family has a history, or if you're worried about somebody with memory problems, you're worried about dementia, you're worried about Parkinson's, that is all related to oxidation and oxidative stress. And the reason that I knew seed oils were problematic, basically very soon after I discovered that they existed, was that I knew that they oxidized easily, and the oxidation really was the key to understanding it. But oxidation happens in our body. Yeah. And that's the missing link in all of medicine. That's why doctors cannot tell you why you have thyroid disease, or why you have leaky gut, or why you have an autoimmune disorder, or why you have brain fog. Doctors cannot tell you that because they do not understand oxidation and oxidative stress.
I 1,000% agree. And if we've learned anything from the weight loss drugs, I'm going to keep coming back to this one. It's that the thing that will motivate people to make change is something they can notice in themselves, which is why I really love this idea that when the brain is deprived of energy, when you're eating all these seed oils, your hunger goes up. Now we have a very motivating conversation. Oxidative stress, as challenging as that is, I don't think the lay person typically can understand that or is motivated by that. But where I want people to take this conversation and run with it is, if you're hungry and you can't get your hunger under control, go on a seed oil free diet for 90 days and see what happens to your hunger. Prove it to yourself. People are paying $1,000 a month for these weight loss drugs. Let's do just a test. And I don't know if you've done this, or a challenge. Let's just get off seed oils for 30 to 90 days and let's see what happens to everybody's hunger.
You're going to notice it. Yeah.
How long? 2 weeks. Okay. That's what I want to know.
And that's in the back of the book. I help you take your own 2-week challenge, and I walk you through exactly what to do, how you're going to clear out your kitchen cupboards, what to check for, what to shop for. I have a shopping list. I have a meal plan. I have very easy recipes for people to follow. And yes, absolutely. The understanding the link between brain energy and hunger is key. And I have an entire chapter devoted to that. It's chapter 4. It's called Fat Bodies, Starving Brains. That is the connection. I mean, to understand that there's science behind this, it's not just me making stuff up. That's why we want to let's not scare people away from terms that they need to know. Oxidative stress, I'm not saying you did that, but that oxidative stress is the term we need to know. We've already adopted all these crazy terms, right? GLP-1 and microbiome. Yeah. Those terms don't help you as much as understanding oxidation and oxidative stress. Again, hierarchy. Let's understand what is going to help us the most and use our limited brain time, limited concentration. We all have limited, things we can learn to learn the thing that is the central concept of what is going to save our life, because oxidation and oxidative stress right now have been killing us.
Yeah,
they are in the process of killing you right now if you're still eating the vegetable oils.
Yeah. And I would 1,000% agree with that. And I have little tantrums in my house all the time when I look at the news and I watch, people who are well respected like Oprah stand up and, advocate for the weight loss drugs. I feel like the weight loss drugs, although they are helping a lot of people temporarily, it's like the elephant in the frickin' room is that we're not talking about what our food supply did to create this obesity problem. And then if we bring it down to the person level, it's like, okay, if you're just struggling to lose weight, if you're just finding yourself hungry all the time, take your 2-week challenge. Try getting off the seed oils, buy your book, follow the 2-week challenge, and then go and see how your hunger changes. And to me, that's giving the person the power back. And I'm just really grateful that you are fighting such an uphill battle, because I know that the food industry probably has your name as a target.
And yeah, I wonder sometimes.
Yeah, is not very excited about books like this, because there is a huge profit in keeping us overweight, sick, medicated, and coming back for more.